again, everyone, here with Jennifer for another video today. We seem to just be having a wide variety of conversations lately, and there's a lot of information coming through. So today we have a video that actually covers two major topics. Again, we don't come in with anything planned. This just kind of shows up. On occasion, we will have something occur in our day that we talk about that we will then move forward on having discussion on. But we never really have an agenda. So this is a free-for-all typically. And today we're going to be talking about the electromagnetics as well as 5G, which is part of that, and the grid structure around the planet, including plasma and how that is all interconnected. Yes, it is. From what we have brought through in this conversation today, hopefully you'll learn something more about that. Additionally, and surprisingly, we're talking about current events as well today. We're talking about Ukraine and Russia. That came in, and basically what we were getting is information that is really what we see on the flip side of things that we might not understand when we just look at the news. So they've really honed in on this Ukraine-Russia conflict that's going on around right now, the location that all of this is in, and what is happening at, I'll just say, below the surface level. And again, it's very metaphysical, it's very energetic, but take what resonates for you, like I've always said, and toss the rest away. Hopefully you will walk away from this video with a couple more pieces to consider for your own awakening and ascension and life journey. So I'm Carolyn Zaiser. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor, and I help you along your spiritual awakening journey, whether it's through channeled messages that you are offered specific to you, a full-on soul journey session with Celeste and myself where we cover from beginning to end and give you a taste of the umbrella view of your life and some major themes, or whether you do distance energy healing with me. So I offer all kinds of services, again, through purplerainhealing.com. So I thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, as this helps me get these videos out to more people through YouTube. So I'm going to take you now over to the video, and I will wrap up with you in the end. Hopefully you will enjoy it, and like I said, take something away for your own journey. Anyway, so I had back to kind of to the videos. A gal wrote me, and she said, she's actually one of my clients. She said, "Wow, I keep getting the words electromagnetic, and I'm getting she says I get a lot of information about technology in the future." And she says, "Your last video, the one that I just put up," she says, with Jennifer, she says, "Oh my gosh, does it ever resonate?" She goes, "There's something here about technology that we're supposed to learn." And she says, in this integration of it, and she says, "But they keep talking about electromagnetic and how important that is." But anyway, I thought you would find it fascinating. I love when we get like synchronicity to our messages.
Oh, let me tell you a little bit about what electromagnetic stuff that I've found out, kind of, how everything kind of shows up for me as I need to know it. And, sometimes it's like, oh, well, that he's been here for like one of my new guide or a persona will show up and start working. And I'm not really sure, I just know that. And then I'll realize why. Well, electromagnetics, a lot of our stuff, our infrastructure that we've been dealing with is like not only on the earth plane and our human, but even like our gridding system and things like that, is electromagnetic, and it is susceptible to manipulation. It's also not good for our human body. So come to find out, you can replace it all with plasma, and it cannot be interfered with, and it is uncorruptible. So the grid programmers have been replacing, overlining, covering all the electromagnetics. We did it through an alchemy process. Like, yes, okay. So we did it with like what is existing instead of overlaying it. I said, take what is existing. If there's a component of it that is that in both of them that's the same, you can alchemize the one that's existing into the plasma one.
Okay.
So
I have chills. Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to keep going. Okay, so what I'm getting a sense of, and when you said they're actually doing, meaning the big star beings, they're actually doing, oh my God, I have so many chills. Like they're showing it as an energetic, well, plasma is energetic. It's an energy, right? So what they're showing is this overlay of God, I wish I could show this, of like it's like vibrational around the,
it's a coating.
Yes.
It looks like, and so what I suggested this, and I believe that's what they're doing. I said, don't make a new one, like don't use the existing one so it's complete, but like overlay it with it, coat it, basically coat it. And in the coating, it's going to alchemize by I think all you have to have is one same element from both, and you can alchemize it completely. So you coat it completely. And so the grid that is made with this other becomes plasma, and it looks almost like glass, liquid glass over wire.
That's what I'm seeing. That's exactly what I'm seeing. What they're showing me is like this clear kind of thing over it. And what they're saying too is it still allows the technology to operate, but without the harmful effects they just said. Oh my God, I have so many chills.
Yes. And it also it's going to be more conducive to the body, because we are organically, even we are headed toward the plasma, because the plasma is the one we talked about. Kind of one of the more advanced future versions of the physical vessel is one that you can morph and move have much more dimensional freedom to stay in, and the body changes as you go. That's plasma based body.
Yes.
So, and then plasma cannot be corrupted, so it can't be manipulated to get like little, how they've corrupted some of our grids here, to get there.
So here's what they're showing. They're showing how this, because my first thought was, well, how is this done? Are they going to every pole that has one of the 5Gs or whatever on it? So what they're showing is, how, and they always use metaphors, how in a craft project, there's that liquid, what's it called? It's called something. It's liquid and it's clear, and then it hardens into like a rubber kind of thing. What's that called? It's clear. Like if you were doing
acrylic or liquid and clear,
like clear acrylic. Like if you're going to do a tray, let's say you're making a decorative tray and you want to put little things in. So you got the tray, and then you pour this. It's not plexiglass. You pour this goop,
like silicone or something.
There's a name for it. Anyway, what they're showing is what they're basically doing is this is coming from. And it's coming, okay. It's like it's dripping down onto the earth, not onto the earth, but as it's coming in. Okay, I just heard it finds its way, like it knows where it needs to go. And they just said, and do that overlay. Does that?
Well, it can follow, like, so for me, for instance, when I am doing like a Wi-Fi, like I'm like my kids, I got Wi-Fi going, there's stuff in the house, I'm super sensitive to it. I know my kids are too. So I will kind of visualize, and it'll show up for me, the lines running through the air. So what I do is I make my intention of what I want to do. I know that rose gold happens to be the alchemical neutralizer for Wi-Fi. So I will just kind of do like, put my hand up to it and touch it, and I'll watch it from where it is. It goes rose gold all the way, and it just follows. And I say, follow it all the way back to its source, antenna, towers, whatever, and then coat and keep on. Use their network to take my creation and send it through their network, right? Reverse it back into everything that it's connected to. And I believe that's what they're doing with this one. They're utilizing the existing one, so they don't. So it can go in and coat everything, right?
Yes, and they're trying to show how that's being done, and it's very interesting. It's and then it's like it follows, like when they do that, it knows where to go. Does that make sense? It's like a matching energy. Okay, so what they're showing is, you might argue, well, how is that happening, right?
Well, highly programmable too. So plasma has intelligence, so you can.
That's what I'm getting. It knows. Okay, so that makes sense. It knows where to go if it's intelligent. But what I'm getting is they're talking about, that's part of magnetism. Okay, they're talking about like, is it polar opposite? Okay, this is going to make me sound dingy, but polar opposites attract each other. So what they're talking about is, this is going to sound weird. They're talking about polar opposites actually then will attract each other in the way that they're working to do this.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Well, if you think about it, so I don't know. That's so interesting. But so we started talking about that because you were talking about 5G or the technology that's harmful to us. But what we're saying is that is actually being, I just heard neutralized.
Yes.
Yes.
So whatever we're utilizing it for, it is not, it does not make our physical structure happy. Our body, it doesn't, and it also can be messed with. So getting that and its plasma works faster, it's more efficient, it has much more capability anyway.
Yes. Very efficient. They're talking about very efficient. Like energy moving through plasma is like this.
Yes. And this is going to be one of the primary, or I don't know if primary, but one of the elements of the structure that we're moving to too. So you can look at it that way. It's kind of more of an organic approach. It's not going to be repulsive or offensive to the body that we're moving to.
Okay.
And it can't be corrupted. I keep saying it can't be. That's a big deal. Because that's one of our biggest stumbling blocks is the level of interference that we get here.
Yes. Okay. So they're talking about this. So what they're saying is they're saying to me, it's a continual monitoring of, okay, they're being funny. What are the kids doing today that we have to go in and
yes,
neutralize?
Absolutely.
They keep talking about neutralizing. And so meaning the kids, us on Earth, because we're so young, but they're talking about this is a constant job in general. And it's not just with technology or the kinds of things we're just here talking about. It's not just that, it's a lot of different things. Okay, I'm just going to keep going here real quick.
Sure.
I'm getting neutralizing and I keep seeing nuclear war, nuclear bombs, nuclear.
Yes.
I'm getting nuclear.
That's very important. Very important.
They're constantly, they keep using the word neutralizing that in however that works, whether it's through, okay. Oh, wow. Does this make sense to you? Whether it's through the human making the decision and
consciousness, or the actual going like to the power plant or to the nuclear, the weaponry. They have to like physically put their hands on that stuff, but then also try to help us develop our consciousness that we're not thinking about these things anymore, like weaponry and that kind of stuff too. It's a double-pronged approach to try to get nuclear off the table here. Yes,
totally. And they're very much showing that that's one area where they come in to neutralize, and that's the word they keep using. This is the what did you call it? Not 5G, but what's the larger, the electromagnetic.
Electromagnetic,
That's another one that is so fascinating. And they just said all mostly invisible to the human eye, unaware. We're just unaware, totally unaware.
Yeah, to the human eye. Now I can ask to see it, and I can, and then having a body like mine, I can. And then there's a lot of kids that are super sensitive to it. The ones that are having so many, but parents and doctors, therapists, they don't understand it because they don't really can't see it, right?
Right.
But some of us that are super sensitive, and some of our littles that are coming in now that are highly sensitive, who are having all of these kind of learning issues or behavior issues, it's because they're being bombarded with this stuff and they can't, it's very hard on them.
Okay.
But their medical community is clueless to this, almost, not totally, very right now. They don't really understand this.
Right. So in the case that you're talking about of how
I can feel
some are being very affected, is this, I guess this is a rhetorical question in a way, but is this neutralizing effect? Oh, they just heard it's ongoing. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you know what they're talking about? They're talking about how, because I was thinking, oh, well, one and done and it's done. They're like, no. This is a constant up in the game of like the electromagnetic force. It's again, we go back to, it's almost like I don't want to call it a war, but we'll call it a war for a good metaphor, right? It's like a war, like you're constantly coming up with new strategies and battle plans and blah. And so both sides, again, I use sides of that human unconscious thing that makes us do these things to each other.
Yes.
Continuing to up the ante, but they're also at the same time coming in to go, no, we got to neutralize this or shift and change it in some way. Because here's the thing, remember when we've said, and I've said this over and over, and I've gotten it regularly, is we're not moving into the apocalypse where they're going to destroy us completely and we have to start all over again. We've been there and we're not doing that again, is what I've been told over and over. So what they're doing is they're having to come in and, this is interesting, intervene in some way, but it's not a free
Yes.
will intervention. Okay. So, because they can't really fully intervene in free will, but they can intervene. Oh, they just said in our manifestations. Oh,
We are doing it. That's what I'm saying. We are doing this.
what do you mean?
You and I are doing this with our free will. So if we are deciding, we're saying this is not good for us. So
Right.
we're here, we're in a body, we have free will, we're in this zone, right? Okay. So yes, they can intervene. We can ask for assistance all day long and we can get whatever we ask for.
Yes. Yes.
We have to ask for it because it's our free will it's our creation, our manifestation, right?
Right.
So
well, our manifestation as a collective.
yes,
Right? That's what you're talking about. Because like Jennifer didn't go out and go, I'm going to create.
I can. Sure, I can.
Well, no,
I
but
can do
you did.
absolutely.
Right. You can, but I guess my point is
And
that
so can you, is what I'm saying. You can do both. You can as well. You can. Now there is on an individual basis, there is like higher selves that can say, no, mine is wanting to experience some blah, 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 but you can absolutely coat the earth in whatever. You can do whatever, as an individual, as Carolyn, you
right,
can
but
do
my
that.
point,
Absolutely.
yeah, my point is they're coming into, so regardless of what is created and manifested in 3D,
Yes.
if it's not great for us, it's still a collective invention. Even if Carolyn didn't go, I want this, I may be sitting here going, I don't want this, but it's been it's been created, manifested out of some ones in the collective,
Yes.
then which we own it basically, right?
Right. We can we can opt out for some of these things. We can create a counter. We can do a lot of these things. We're all equally in the free will. I always say and you claim your own sovereignty, and you claim, free will it's a kind of misleading name too. There's a little bit more to it than just that. Free will is almost like, the knowledge of good and evil is basically the description of what free will meant. Okay. So, they said, like in the Garden of Eden, the tree of knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil, and then the choice.
Right. The choice.
Right. So it's knowledge is free will. So having
how
knowledge
you want to live.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
How you want to see your journey go. But
That's
I guess,
right.
yeah. So kind of getting back to that, they were talking about the two. So they're always, okay. So they're always out there because we're always upping the ante in some way of what they just said it's like playing whack-a-mole.
Seriously. I feel like a lot of times, I've said this to you before, there's a lot going on here, and I try to go like, okay, where's the biggest bang for our buck? There's got to be a silver bullet for some of this stuff. Right. So things like, they're really huge, like for instance, like even this like 5G thing, it's big, it's affecting everybody. Or say there's like grids or different types of, I'm like, how do we take that bad boy down completely and then let the kind of organic or built-in technology that we already have start to not be so influenced by it, and see what the human does, the collective does by itself, just not being bombarded with some of this stuff, right? It's almost like just remove some of the interference and just see what happens. You might be surprised, right? How quickly this will turn around. I don't know. That's kind of what I like to see, all kinds of things happening myself.
Yeah, as you're talking, what they're showing me and saying is that this idea of creating this electromagnetic field through 5G and other technologies and whatever is actually, oh gosh, this is weird. Oh, they just said patchwork quilt. Okay, so they're trying to explain to me patchwork quilt. So what they're saying is this invention of this electromagnetic, the 5G, all these different things is actually designed to help patch this matrix that, okay, this is weird. Oh, I have chills. That is falling apart. And so what they're trying to do, the nefarious side, right, is trying to keep that in place. And so it's almost like here's here's your matrix around the Earth, but now they've created a different one within the larger matrix because this one's breaking down. And so what they're saying is electromagnetics is helping hold, this is really interesting, helping hold this in place, but it's very shaky, okay? Because it's also being, okay, they just said infiltrated in from the galactics to, okay, to fully break this apart. So what they're showing me, oh my God, this is so weird, is it feels like it's shattering. Like it's the original matrix is shattering. Now there's this new kind of grid network, which is this electromagnetic network that's trying to hold this all in place still. But I just heard impenetrable. They think it's impenetrable, but what I'm getting is the galactics have gotten through the matrix, the original matrix, which is, they're showing it as like an old antiquated structure, like from, oh, they just said from the, like the communistic era, right? Like if you look at all that and you see it breaking down. So they're showing it crumbling, but then they got this new one to kind of fight, but they're coming in with, oh, hey, they just said different technology. God. Oh, and I think it has to do with what we just talked about in the very beginning of the, with the plasma. Does that resonate?
Yes, absolutely it does. Yep. Yeah, it's not, that's interesting too that they brought up like that era there, because there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up about that whole thing. We'll have maybe do a video on that later when I know more.
Well, we could just do it now and see what we get. I mean,
okay, we could.
I mean, it'd be very interesting to just pick something like that and go and see what happens.
You know, well, because there was, you know, getting like information about the war, you know, I got some stuff about Chernobyl the other day that blew my mind. Okay. Oh my God. So, but you know, the war too, with like how involved some of these larger players, these world players have been with Galactics. They were full interaction, talking. One of Hitler's closest advisors was a psychic medium who could speak to Galactics, you know, kind of like we do now. She got all kinds of technology, plants. That's why they were able to build like that kind of, you know, B-movie saucer that you see that they built, you know, but still for that era, you know what I mean? That was a big deal.
Yeah, and you know what I'm getting right now? Because I think we need to talk about this topic, because they just brought in Ukraine and Russia, current day, what's going down right now. Now, I'm not very clued in. I just know there's a problem there right now and a potential for war, but they're bringing that into this discussion. So I don't know where this is going, but go ahead and so the communistic era, did you want to continue along that vein?
We can, yeah, sure. Like I said, I'm not a historian. I just know I'm seeing it, and I'm like understanding some of the galactic and cosmic connections that they had with that group, right?
Yeah.
They were highly involved in this. You know, when they say, oh, you know, disclosure of ETs and this kind of stuff is a current thing. It is not. They've been working with off-planet races for a long time, right?
Very much so.
A lot of these underground bases and the technology, and even the mindset that he had about the tall, blonde, blue-eyed. Okay, that was after a root race. I think they're actually called Aryan, the Aryan root race. He had connected with that particular group heavily, strongly, and it changed him a little bit. So that was what his focus was. I believe he had an idea that he would like to bring Germany, the German people, into a agreement, or more like almost somehow merge the Germans with this group, the Aryan race, which I believe most of them are inhabiting inner Earth right now, but that are here. So they can correct me if I'm wrong, if my history is wrong or my visuals are off. But at one time I was shown like how the root races were created. It's almost like a plane, and they like came up, and there was an era, and the tree of life's kind of like in the center a little bit, and then the next era would come up and it would push this ring out, and then a new era. So you had like Polaris, you had Aryan. Oh God, I can't remember the names now. There's 5 of them, but we're working on a 6th root race right now, right?
Yeah.
So the comes out from the center of the Earth and it kind of pushes the other ring. And then we have these Van Allen belts that give us the illusion that we're our own planet. It's wild. So in between these eras, but we get like the new era comes out from the center and pushes the other one. The sun and moon for each one of those eras gets pushed out and becomes planets, right?
So are we on a different topic now? I just got to know because I'm.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of went off into Lala, but yes,
That's okay. Aryan, I mean, if we want to go that direction,
Aryan is a root race. Okay, so that was the
one. Root. Explain what you mean by a root race.
So when we have eras in this planetary structure on Earth, although it affects everybody too, right? But we have eras where a root race, it's like I don't know, they can maybe help me understand what a root race is. My understanding is it's just the next evolutionary.
So I just heard seeded. It's a seed. It's okay. A seed, like a new seed. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And now, it's like their turn when we do a rev, like a new era, we do a revelation called a rev, and then a new era comes, and the others are still here, but the new one I think kind of comes out of the center or the womb or the core, kind of through the tree of, where the tree of life and this kind of thing is. And it's anyway, the Aryan race is one of the races that is a root race. That was the one that I believe Hitler was in contact with the most.
Okay.
And that's kind of where he started getting the ideas of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, perfect human from this particular group. So
I'm just going to,
they're us. It's not like I'm saying they're not. I mean, they're part of, we all kind of carry, or not, maybe not complete, but there's some of us that are completely carry all the root races within us, right? So
what they're taking me back, I don't know why, to the Ukraine-Russia thing that's going on.
Okay.
I'm just going to share with what they gave me. I don't know if they want us to talk about this. I have a feeling. So they said it's a flashpoint. They're showing me, you know how I do the Google Earth thing when I have a subject, they just keep bringing me there. It says flashpoint. They're watching over it, and they said it's a seed. Okay, I have chills on all of this. It's a seed. What's happening now over there? Okay, they just said is a seed of the thing of times to come. Okay, what does that mean?
Well, we're talking about it currently, and then we're talking about past too, but I don't think that maybe. Well, they're highly tied into Arctic too, which is defrosting now. So maybe some that that was a preemptive coming out.
I'm getting connection to the Orion Wars. This now, geez, where in the heck is this going? I'm getting connection to the Orion Wars. Oh, they just said how it began. Oh God. Okay. And they just said tit for tat. Do you know why Russia's in Ukraine? What the deal is? Do you have any sense of what's going on there?
I don't. I know there's a lot of movement there, a lot of stuff that is not what it appears to be.
Right. That's what they're saying.
But I'm not sure exactly. I'm not versed on it enough to talk about it.
It's a seed of the times to come. I don't know what they're talking about though, because I know, well, not that I need to know. I guess they could tell us potentially.
Yes.
It's about, so why are they bringing this up now? Okay, I just heard the words need to know. It's important. It's important to understand the roots.
Okay.
Of what is seeded. What are they talking about? The roots. Okay, wait, the roots. The roots would have been Orion Wars. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so the roots were the Orion Wars of the seed that's now planted, if that makes any sense to you. Which is, they're saying the seed is this Ukraine-Russia situation going down. And they're talking about a seed for the times to come. Now, this doesn't mean, I'm not talking like, nuclear war, that kind of thing, because they said we put a lid on that. Okay, they've said this before, that they've put a lid on nuclear detonation is what they're talking about.
Yes.
This something about this situation happening now, seeds of, times to come.
Okay.
Why do they want us to know that? How did we get there? We talked about the communistic era
talking about, yeah, the German conflict. So I don't know. I mean, there were seeds for, I think the involvement, this particular group, now the group that is the blonde-haired, blue-eyed group, they sometimes call them Nordics.
Yeah.
They're
you don't mean the Pleiadians, though. You're not talking galactic.
They are galactic as well, but you see them here. There are some that are still, you know, like the inner Earth. We have different Earth planes that are non-physical. So when we think about the galactic being on another planet somewhere, there's a lot of galactics that are here,
right,
on Earth planes that are not invisible to us. Okay, so, but yes, Nordics, and they can appear to us. They usually look like they're Swedish or, you know, big blonde, blue-eyed. And I've had a lot of them. In fact, I've had them almost not, I don't know what the word is, bomb like I have a friend who does galactic artwork. I have a couple of friends that do this for me. They do galactic artwork where they do a galactic representation of maybe one of your galactic guides. It's ET looking. Mm-hmm. And I've had it done twice now with where they said we were trying to get a galactic and these other two are so insistent that they like push everybody out of the way and they stand there and say, no, you're going to do me. And they're Nordic. They're both Nordic.
So what's the point in that for what we're talking about? What is their role?
There is something to do with what you're talking about now. And they're tied to the German thing because that is the group that was tied into the German thing. And I believe with, and they are tied in with Orion as well. So I'm not sure what the connection is to all of these points, but they're all up in my business too. So every time I'm trying to talk or do something, they are there. Like we want to say something, right?
I got 2 words. I'm going to share it before you keep going. Does that say rewriting? They're rewriting. And you know what? I don't think they wanted me to say this because I can't read my writing and I can't remember it. Oh my God. Rewriting. And wait, hold on, because they gave me 2 words. This never happens to me.
Okay, so let's see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. You know, there's a lot of agendas, a lot of stuff going on around me. It's not always the super
I got it.
Oh, good. All
right. Disclosure. It has to do, what you're talking about has to do with the disclosure. The Ukraine-Russia thing has to do with the disclosure. I have no idea how this is all going to connect. The Nordics have to do, what I'm getting is, okay, this sounds so trippy, like we're just making stuff up, but I'm getting these connections of what you said, those beings are actually, this is the seed. This is the seed, it feels like, of some kind of disclosure. Now, why a war between Russia and Ukraine would be that way, would be a seed of, have something to do with disclosure. And I wish I could see this other word. Are you getting anything?
I'm getting the name Oren. Oren's the name of one of the Oren is one of the ones, and then there was Eileen. So I don't know if
are they blonde?
Total blonde, blue-eyed, yep, in blue suits up in here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Okay. So what have we just said here? We have said we're talking about something is going down right now. That is not how we see it on the surface, obviously.
Well, there's something going on with, oh my goodness. Okay, there's so much connected here. I'm trying to connect the dots here. Again, not having a whole lot of political knowledge, but I almost think that's a good thing.
It is better. It's better.
You're getting galactic information, you have no bias. All right.
That's why I don't watch other channelers. I don't watch other YouTubers because I just want pure channeling because I don't know.
Yes. Right. So I may not understand, but if we're open to have a conversation right now, if that's, if the information will flow in without any kind of, because I can feel a little contention already right now. Can you?
There's a lot of energy on this.
Yeah. So, we're going to talk about it. We want to understand it. We'd like to know what's going on because clearly energetically we're all connected to this and we don't really understand what's, what the deal. Yet disclosure is important. I don't know what the connection is between Germany and this, or I think there's a lot of Antarctic underneath. There's a lot of technology. They talk about suppressed technology. I think that there's a tremendous amount of technology that is being used already, and it is going on big time. And almost all of the collective is unaware of it.
Okay.
So that kind of stuff,
exactly.
Huge.
And you talking about what you just said, there's for some reason they said to me, present day discourse. They want, for some reason, they want us in the present day in what they're talking to me about. We never talk about present day and real stuff, right? They're talking present day discourse. And then they brought back to me probably 2 years ago. You might remember when Ukraine fell apart. It was probably longer than 2 years ago. Things fell apart in Ukraine. And again, I don't have any good frame of reference. But like a month before, I had a remote hearing episode. I've had about 3 of those when I'm in long meditations, because of course I channel, so it would make sense I might hear in meditation. It surprised me, but I was in I heard in a boardroom, and it wasn't just like the channeling I get now. It was actual human voice in some kind of political meeting, and they were talking about Ukraine. And I'm like, why in the world am I in my meditation hearing a human voice talking about Ukraine? And all of a sudden I realized I was in that I tapped into that meeting. And the minute that I went, oh, I was gone, right? So, like, oh my gosh, because you can't have that, you have to maintain that same level of.
Yeah, when you get excited or anything, it kind of knocks you out of the, So that's cool that you can do that though, right? That's cool to know you can do it.
Oh, I need to meditate more, because I think could be a thing for me. My point in this is they just brought me back to that memory, to me hearing. And then what happened is a few months later, all hell broke loose in Ukraine. And I was like, I think it had to do with the leaders changing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I tapped into that political meeting that then things started to go down. But what they're talking about is present day discourse now over this. And I would never in a million years thought we'd be talking about this today.
Oh, I know. That's why I said, let's just, throw some stuff out there and let's see what happens, because yes, I mean, there's connections to stuff everywhere. It's like, it's tied into Orion. That's how he did the name. And it's also tied into, I told you I have a connection to Venus. Now, Venus is like a love planet, love energy, which is kind of my home energy. And so I'm like, okay, Orion is connected and he specifically mentioned Venus in his message to me. So I'm like, okay, how those are connected somehow too, right? So yeah, I'm like,
what we're talking about, you mean the Russia thing?
Yes.
Okay, good. Go ahead and keep going, because I'm getting information about the current circumstance.
So I don't know the current circumstances politically happening in Russia. Frankly, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm getting. Okay, this may seem obvious. I'm getting there's something they want in Ukraine, but it feels metaphysical though. It feels like it's.
Hold on.
They want something in Ukraine. What is it? Oh, I just heard, yes, they do. Oh God. Okay.
Is it an artifact that they moved, that Russia moved to their Ukraine? They took one of the arcs to the Ukraine.
Something. Oh, I have a lot. I have a lot of chills around this. It's not what we see on the surface happening, but it's a seed of times to come. They're talking about. They want something in the Ukraine, in their region. Okay, I'm going to go with this. And I'm going to sound so dingy about this, but Ukraine was a part of Soviet Union at one point, and all those other little countries were too. But what they're talking about, when that split up, it's like it split off an important part of what the Soviets wanted, is what I'm getting. And now going into Ukraine, there's something they're trying to recover or reclaim. Okay. This is going to be the trippiest video. Maybe other people will have.
Other people may have more information about this very again. Like I said, it's connected. There's stuff going on underground. There's technologies. There's all kinds of things happening. But yes, there is definitely something.
Go back to the arc, because they gave me chills. And I don't know if it's the actual arc, but there's something going on with. Oh, they just said technology.
Yes, the ark in itself, we always think of the ark as the gold box with the wings but the ark, come to find out, it holds a lot more than we believe or we know. Right,
but
there's more than one, and it is highly, it is a blend of those things that we were talking about before, of all kinds of energy. So the ark in itself actually has full blown, like its defense mechanism is all artificial intelligence.
Okay. Yep. So as you're talking, they're showing me
Okay.
gold and white light. They're in like the Ukraine. They're showing gold and white light. They're showing like, because remember they're zooming me in. They won't let me leave this area for some reason. There's something, it feels like, okay. Oh, I'm getting a portal. I'm getting a portal. Are you getting a portal? Oh, I have so many chills.
Well, yeah, I'm getting, I believe you. I don't know how it's, oh, wait a minute.
I got entry point. I just got the words entry point. Entry point. What is going on? Okay. Entry point.
Um,
And see, we're not going to know this on the surface with what we look at and see in the news is the point. I keep getting the words flashpoint.
oh, crud. I forget what it's called. I can see it.
Okay, now I'm just going to keep going until
Fine, yeah.
you just talk over me if you need to. So what I'm getting, they're now bringing up, and they're doing individual words and things like underground civilizations. There's some portal of entry for something above and below. They just said above and below. In that,
Yes, the entry into the inner earth. Basically, the inner earth is like a whole thing inside of itself. That's kind of where these civilizations come up from to the next era, shows up from the inner earth. It comes up, and so yeah, you can.
I think they want the point of entry.
The north-south pole is kind of like the big spot, but like one of them's been covered in ice. I don't even know about the south one, but yeah, isn't it both sides? It's like, because the earth is like more like a donut, really. It's with at the inside's hollow, and there's two holes to get in, and then there's outside, at least in one depiction of it. But
I'm getting point of entry. They will not leave. They will not leave the region, and you could expand beyond Ukraine a bit, but they're showing that region. It's very bright. It's very light. It's very. I don't think that's indicating any future nuclear moment at all. No, they keep saying they put a lid on that. So one thing I will say in this conversation, what I will say more than anything is it is not just this conversation, but all of our conversations have made us realize, or at least myself, and I think you too, how highly involved the galactics are on Earth.
Yeah, I think there's a Stargate there.
There you go. Okay.
There's a Stargate
somewhere. Oh God, I have chills. And that's why they kept saying portal of entry. So
yes.
A Stargate is, okay, so what is a Stargate then? Oh.
Woo, yeah, that's a yes on that. Holy moly, just got my.
So does that, okay, if you control the Stargate, you control galactic travel to and from Earth.
Yes, it's this. Now, how is, all right, so I always thought that galactic travel to and from Earth is mostly controlled through the portal. It's the center star in Orion, or that might be the Orion connection. Okay.
Yeah.
And the Stargate, they may have a Stargate where you go through it and you're here, right? Stargates are like a portal system where it's like flat. There's no space in between. You're there and then you're here, right?
Okay. I'm hearing controlling space. This has to do with what you're talking about. This is this galactic, or what do you call it? Stargate. It has to do with them controlling space.
Yes.
Meaning space.
Yes. And you know what it is too. Okay. So I heard this a long time ago that that center is very like coveted because it's a corridor. It's like a corridor that everybody utilizes, right?
Yes. The Stargate, you mean? Stargate?
Yes, that Orion's belt, the center star on the Stargate is a portal. And that is a corridor for galactic travel. Okay.
So you know what they just said? It's like Interstate 80 in the United States.
Yes.
Think about it. Everything comes off. Well, we have others, but Interstate 80 goes across the country and everything comes off of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. And some of the warring might very well be over this stinking portal. I don't know. That's possible. To some of the Orion wars, it's in Orion's belt, right? So, I mean, I don't know if that's my son's screaming. That's a yes.
That's cool. I love that. And not to mention, he's in his quiet little space right now, and all of a sudden he's making noise
on the other side of the house, and he's totally telepathically communicating with us all through our whole thing. But he's there, and so he's responding. He's so funny.
Love it. Wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
you know what I'm going to do after this is I'd love to do this like with stuff that I get. I'm going to go research like the
yeah, and see what
region
pops.
of Ukraine and the history and what's going, and just like, and it feels like it's bigger than Ukraine, but if they got a hold of Ukraine again, then they just said expand beyond the borders. So there's something going down with respect to that area with respect to, and I am getting, because this is not about, I mean, in this day and age, it's honestly not about, oh, let's control Earth populations and get power and glory. There's still a lot of that, right? But the ones that are really going for it, it's the space control and the portals and the galactic entry points.
Okay, so let's think about this too. We are connected in, and they say like, I don't know exactly how to explain this, but us here, as our consciousness raises and we ascend, we affect all, right?
Yes.
So that's even outside of the, whatever. So that's everybody. So many have skin in this game, and they would like to see us ascending as we would. So, but now there is that portal, is my understanding, is what, if you want to put like dimensional numbers, it's one of those things that allows you to get into, I think, from the 8th to the 9th. So if we can't get, and that is like it's an ascension portal basically. Okay. Yep. So it kind of controls in a way and is tied in somehow to the ability to ascend.
Oh, you're talking in this area, right?
Well, in this area, but even outside of this area, we are connected. So it's almost like my embodiment on Earth is ascending as I am, but somehow that portal there is a portal from the 8th to the 9th. I believe that's correct. That has a huge influence somehow on our ability to take it up a notch. Okay. So that portal has a lot of importance for many reasons, I believe.
And the portal you're talking about is the one we're talking about, Ukrainish area.
I think it's the one tied to the center of, it must be the other side of the portal is what I'm saying. But I'm thinking, in the Stargate, you have a portal. Yeah. And a Stargate, it basically collapses the spaces in between, so you can just step through and be there, right? Yep. So you have a portal as an Orion, and then you would have to have a Stargate on the planet to step through and be there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because what they're showing in the visual as you're talking, it's like a fountain coming up from that area of the world, and it's going straight up. It's a fountain of yellow and white flowing light. And I guess they're trying to show this, but it's like, God, it's like in the superhero movies. And I don't know, like it's a fountain of energy coming up out of there.
Okay, so this is the thing I heard one time too. That what we consider the hell realm, the gates of hell, is a Stargate that got flipped upside down and is inverted. And it started shooting down instead of this. And so the whole gates of hell, the gate, is a flipped upside down Stargate that created all of those sub realms that we call hell.
Well, that makes sense. It turned everything upside down.
Turn it the other way, right?
Yeah.
It's inverted. It's an inverted Stargate. So I don't know if that's what they're talking about or not.
I don't know, but it's so interesting.
And then it was, of course, not operational, right? Once you flip it up, it's not connected anymore, but it is still, like you said, the light is going, it's not connected right anymore. It's like the Stargates are there, but they're not connected to each other. They're like
you're just hanging there.
Yes, coming in for here, but it's shooting down in this direction, so they can't get. You know what I'm saying? It's not
because they're always there. Because what I'm getting is it's all always there. It's just whether they're online or active. Yeah.
So don't get it flipped upside down, I guess, would be one of the first things we'd want to do. Oh my goodness.
But so so if we go back to what we received early on, they talk about it's a seed of times to come, is what they've said. The seed, well, that would make some degree of sense, seed of times to come, if we're talking galactic connections and ability to do that traveling and that ignition of the Stargate or portals, but there's something they want. That's what they keep saying, something that they want. And it's not what we see in the news.
It's metaphysical. It is. It has to do with the planet. It has to do with the energy of the planet. The planet has the chakra systems are like the different city, you know, the different portals, the different energy lines, the ley lines. It's all energetically, it's laid out just like a human body almost, right?
Okay,
So
I just heard something else. They said there's a key there. So they're trying to get the key to unlock. Remember, this is metaphysical. However this plays out in real time, I don't know. There's a key to unlock the gateways they're talking about. It also feels to me that, okay, this is getting weird. They're saying whoever has the key controls the future.
wow, okay.
Now, maybe not the full future, but what they're giving me, is that accurate? I just heard absolutely. The key, okay. Because what they're showing me is who has the key controls, well, they're talking about future of, they're just saying space-time continuum, space-time reality. And actually the kinds of travel that we don't think is happening now, it's actually kind of invisible, some of this travel that we're talking about, you know, through the Stargates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just keep going. I don't know. The Galactics are concerned because they said they're just going to be playing around, meaning humans playing around with something they don't understand when if they get the key. If they get the key to the Stargate, or right? They said that they keep saying playing around, like we're not advanced enough to play around. Does that make sense? So they're very much, they keep talking about.
Are they saying that this is they're trying to get it's like CERN? It's like one of these things where they don't necessarily on the human plane have the full understanding of what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right?
Totally.
They're playing around and they might be, oh, look what this particle did. And they have no idea the impact that they've just had on the omniverse, right?
Which is why I think they brought Flashpoint in as the first two words they gave me.
Yes. But all of these individuals do have higher selves, right? And they do have their own team that go out, you know, so we're all tied into us, but like on the human level, you know, I'm not sure how that works out, but I know that you know, they say like the humans would be messing around with something they don't understand, but we're all tied, right? So
and it's all purposeful.
Yeah, there's agendas running with the different origins of what we brought in. So
completely.
You know, we just don't want to you know, hurt ourselves with something that we don't understand. Or
they just said to me, running with knives. Okay, so running with knives. And so what they're showing are toddlers, and they're like, we have to really watch over. In other words, like every step of the way, so that you don't knife yourself or you don't trip and fall and you know, that whole thing. So they're giving a very, to your point, it's like this is supposed to happen, but it's not supposed to happen in the way that humans will things to happen, which is instantaneous, fast, do things quickly and not understand. They're talking about this is a baby step kind of situation, which they said we have a hand in.
Yeah, you know, but this really feels funny to me. Like when we're talking about this, it feels like almost metaphysical, evolutionary, energetically, planetary, whatever. The evolutionary process is going probably in divine plan. Like, so some of these things are coming to light where maybe this is the time that we should be discovering this. What I'm seeing is there is this disparity between our consciousness and what is coming in. So it's almost like
you just said it better. That's what they were saying, and you just said it.
Oh, is that what they were telling you? There is, but it's not like, oh, we have to protect you, because the real issue here, the real thing, at least for me, that throws up a red flag is, why aren't humans ready yet? What has happened to our consciousness? What is going on? Because we should be keeping up with the evolution of all of the things going on around us, like this discovery of stargates, the realization that the planet holds portals, you know, these things. Why, what is they're like either controlling factions or something. But that's my biggest concern. Is I'm more concerned about what has gone on that has suppressed the ability to keep up with the evolution in the human consciousness. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. One of the things I'm picking up is the desire for power and control and keeping, they're talking about, now they're using this in a different way, but they're saying keeping the lid on. In other words, never growing too much. So it's about keeping things as they are and being able to control the power that they currently have, because going too far, they feel like they will lose power and control. Does that make sense? So there's always some level of growth. If you like, oh, here's a good example that they're giving me is like, if you're in a management job at work and all of a sudden you're going to get promoted to a VP, right? It's like you had all this power and control, right, in your management job, but now you've got this new learning to get to the VP level, right? And you have new power and control, but you don't quite know how to do that job yet, right?
Right, sure.
So they're just giving me that.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a, I don't know, there needs to be more of an infusion of information, like disclosure, I guess would be part of an infusion of information into the collective, into the full collective. So it's not like, oh, we found this thing, just like, we're talking about the war and they've had this technology, right?
And I think that's happening,
consciously traveling for a long time now. And most people don't even have any clue about this,
right?
Except a select few that are trying to keep their, trying to have all the chess pieces, right? So that, I think that's my biggest concern, is not that these things are coming to light and we should be at the level where we are beginning to participate with this on a galactic community, like we've said before. My biggest concern is that why aren't we all informed about it, right? Because instead of like, oh, we have to keep them from hurting themselves. Well, it's just like with kids, you don't protect, you have to inform them, you know what I mean? You can't just keep putting padding on all the corners of the furniture. They have to get past this stage, right? So they have to learn how to drive the car someday. You can't just keep them.
No, right. And I think that's happening in stages, in small ways.
I feel like that part's been slowed down, because the other part, the creation is moving. It's not waiting for. But I feel like we've been kind of like held back. We're at a bit of a disadvantage because creation's moving like we should. These things are coming up. They are visible as we ascend. A lot of stuff's going to become visible just to our conscious awareness, or that our eyes are going to be able to see stuff.
Yes, exactly.
And we're not necessarily prepared.
Nope.
Right. So it's like suppressing ascension by not allowing this information to be spread through the entire collective. Does that make sense?
What I'm getting right now is they just said the words tipping point. There needs to be, they just said the greater propensity of humankind to wake up, basically. So it's the waking up component of this is what I'm getting, because that's a process that nothing can stop, right? I mean, in what I'm getting, you're either going to struggle if you decide to turn your back on it, but the awakening will happen. And what I'm getting, you know what? I think that's the tipping point. Remember when they talk about the 100th monkey? And then we'll just all, or the tidal wave, like the pool, they always give the inflatable pool where somebody sits on the edge and the water starts coming out. All the water comes out, right? Right. I'm getting some sense of this tipping point of the 100th monkey idea of the awakening also is connected to that, because that's the way. You're never going to get it from the top down, right? You're never going to get this awareness from the top down. You're going to get it from your own self waking up to the things you already knew deep inside anyway, right? I don't know. That's wild.
There's other stuff. I have to look into that a little bit more about how that's tied in.
I got to do this too, because I don't know. This was a very strange conversation. Do we want to know anything else? Because we can ask. I mean, I can always take this part out of it.
I guess I want it all wrapped up with a nice bow on top so I understand it. So
I just heard that's not going to happen anytime soon. Well, they just said it's fluid. It's fluid. Like it's but there's something that is very important in what's going on right now there. How that will play out, I do not know. It could end up being suppressed down into nothing and it all goes away. And then I don't know, but I'm getting it's a very important seed to what's coming. I don't know.
The seed. Okay. So, I mean, I know that I believe that is like the seed. The seed is the next era, the next evolutionary step, the big one, the next big evolutionary step for us is right. It's all at play right now. It's all on the table being hashed out at the moment, right?
Yep.
So I don't really quite get I don't understand the agendas at play in this particular one. If it's mostly on a genetic level, is it access? Is it who's going to be at the helm of the whole thing? Who's going to be the one like oversight?
I'm getting what I was getting was, remember the one who has the key they were talking about, the one who has the key. So we'll be a first player in this. I don't, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing in all of this galactic stuff. We know there's the dark and light that wants, there's the group that wants to keep humankind controlled and in our space, right, and not ascend. So to me, okay, so let's say all the portals open up and the Stargates open up and the disclosure happens and ETs have, well, what side's actually running the show?
Yeah.
Did all of a sudden, just because we have disclosure and we know this is happening, how do we not know that our governments that we don't necessarily trust aren't in cahoots with, you know what I'm saying? So this is why they keep talking about how the awakening is such a key component. They just said it is the key to all of this.
Well, there is I think that, the consciousness is the driving force. So if we have, the collective consciousness will steer the ship.
Yep.
And a lot of these, conspiracy, there's so many conspiracy, why they want to reduce the population. It's not because the planet can't necessarily sustain the population. It's because it's gotten to a number where it cannot be controlled for this reason, I believe, which is part of why we're having the awakening phenomenon. But yes, I think that it's like, but there does need to be a disclosure event of some kind. There needs to be enough information that the collective can then reflect its feeling to be a participant in the steering of this thing, right?
Yep.
And there's not a whole lot to know,
Okay.
and what is it that they need to know, right?
Yeah. So they just said to me as you're talking, because I was getting information when you're talking about what you're talking about. They said it's what they've given us today is the tip of the iceberg. And then they said, come back for more. Okay, everybody, there is your video today. So I have a feeling we are probably going to be touching on some of what we talked about today. Again, given we somehow, we're moved into talking about the current events going on. We would be also very interested in any of your comments, any additional information that you have that kind of puts this story together, any synchronicity, or obviously differing information, because that's what helps us all learn. We all take pieces from each other. So feel free to comment. Many of you do this already. I really appreciate it. And again, we're just learning on this journey together. So I wish you well as we move into the last week, if you can believe it, of February, and we're moving into March. I will have the March energy update out in the next week, and we will see what guidance we have for that moving forward. Until then, I wish you well, and I thank you so much for joining me today.